Hey guys, Asher coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. I'm not alone. I'm joined by BigPoppaDrock. Big Papa,
my man.
up, man, how you doing?
My man, it is good to see you. How are you, bro?
I'm doing well. Every time I have you on, I'm like, hey, we're gonna make this a weekly series. People, they love it. They love us, man. They love us.
I felt I needed to punish him just a little bit more.
So we're going to complete the series that we started about a month ago, where we say the best and the worst on every rarity in every faction. Before we do that with rares today, the absolute best and worst rares in Raid Shadow Legends, who to 6-star, who's a no-brainer, and who's absolute trash. The problem is here, Drock, is that like there's so many trashy rares that I think you might change it a little bit and just say rares that like we especially want a buff to, or rares that we just really hate, because it's hard to pick a worst, right?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and yeah, I mean, like we'd be here all day because there are a lot of bad
ones. There's a lot of bad ones, but like especially if some of the more accessible rares, it'd be nice to see, or void rares, it'd be nice to see some of them buffed, because some of them are like absolute just trashola.
Yeah,
and
it is
what are we gonna
interesting.
do after this? We need my viewers to help us out here, because I want to continue the long Drock collabs. But we've done legendaries and epics, and now we're doing rares, and we're not going to do mythicals. There's only like 10 of them in the game. What should we do? You guys tell us.
I don't know.
What do you want to see us talk about? You know?
Yeah.
I selfishly want live arena, live coaching, but
I want to do that with you, which I think would be a lot of fun for us to like do it together, which would be a blast.
Me too.
I'll be getting back in my things.
But I feel like my audience hates live arena though. I feel like
they probably do.
You know?
They probably do.
Maybe only like 3 of you do. And you know what's going to happen too? It's going to be like only the people who actually do like live arena are going to comment on this video. We love live arena. So then I'm going to record the video with you, and 5 people are going to watch. I'm like, oh, it's you 5, huh? Anyway, I digress, man. How are you doing? Is life okay?
Life is good, dude. Okay. Life is all right. You know what I mean? It's up, it's down, it's a roller coaster, but overall, at least I'm here, baby, and we're collabing. And honestly, nothing gets me going like Drash, baby. Drash, that's what it's about.
All right, brother. Let's start with the old Banner Lords, and you're the guest, so tell me your favorite Banner Lord. What's the best Banner Lord? Actually, let me just start by asking this question.
Yeah.
Is there a no-brainer 6-star Banner Lord?
There
you go.
That is really, really tough. I don't know if there is. There are like definitely in some factions. I don't know if there's a 6-star Banner Lord.
I agree.
In my opinion, like there are some okay ones in here. There's a lot of bad ones. But yeah, I don't think there's one that I'm like, oh, you have to, like, this one is worth doing. This one's worth the resources. So I'm gonna say no.
So yeah, it's pretty sad that there's not one no-brainer 6-star in Banner Lords. But I also would like. There's some compelling. Who's your favorite?
So I was thinking about this, like, who's my favorite Banner Lord? I happened to pull this on my free to play. I kind of really like Dagger. I don't know. Dagger. Maybe I'm a little weird.
No, you're not weird.
It's a void. It's, obviously.
Oh, you're weird, but it has nothing to do with Dagger.
Yeah, I'm definitely weird. Like, don't lie to the audience. You know what I mean? I'm a weird dude, but we're all weird for loving this game. But
that's true.
No, I like Dagger a lot. I mean, she's hard to get because she's a void, and I think that's tricky. But when you look at the other like voids in this faction, to me, she's like, I think the best of the bunch, and I feel like kind of useful for faction wars, which is where I've used her. So I think Dagger's probably my overall favorite from the entire faction.
All right, man. I'm gonna make this all Dagger all the time episode here, because Dagger's my best and worst. I know that's crazy, but she's my best because it's a pretty slim crop here. There's some okay ones. I think that Valerie, I should mention her. Like, this energizing presence is very, very good on the 3-turn cooldown, and she's campaign farmable. But I would recommend players take her to 50, because you're probably gonna get better pretty soon. Dagger could be so good. She's a void freaking, okay, she's great because she has an AoE decreased defense, right?
Yes.
But she's awful because she's a void that has a 75%. Listen.
Yes.
It's not that broken nowadays here in almost 2025 in Raid that we can't have 2 rares in the game other than War Maiden that has a 100% decreased defense, and she's a void, So I would love to see a buff to Dagger. I know they never will, because Plarium, who we kidding? They don't buff rares, but if they did, they should buff Dagger.
Yes, that is the one skill. Like, it's definitely great because you get the chance of the decreased attack as well, which is why I like her. But man, if they just made it 100%, even though it's placing the small version of decrease, or no, excuse me, not decrease, decrease. I was looking at her A3. But yeah, if you just had 100% on that, then you could look at her as being comparable to War Maiden. So that's kind of like, that's the one thing you're missing. So I think they could easily do that given she's a void, but she is to me the best in the bunch.
Yeah, she's so squishy, way squishier than War Maiden. 793 defense, 12k on the HP. So the benefit is she's void, so you don't have to worry about a weak affinity on spirit. So just give her that 100%. All right, so best and worst, cool. Do you have any other shout outs there, or do you want to move on?
Move on. I hate Bannerlords. I hate Bannerlord.
I was gonna move on. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, get me out of Bannerlords.
High elf time. Okay, so is there a no-brainer? This is good. The tale of two factions here. There's a lot less rares, but the quality bar is a lot higher here.
Yes.
So I'll just give my fave. I'm sure you're gonna say Apothecary, as everybody would, for good reason. But I love Reliquary Tender, man. I don't know why people don't include her in a list of like top 5. I think she's a top 5 freaking rare. She's the only rare in the game with a 3-turn cleanse with the heal on top of that. She also has to revive. There's not that many rare revivers, like 5 or 6 in the game. So I think she's so good. I mean, cleansers can be used almost everywhere in the game, right? So I don't need to point out all the areas, but I really love Reliquary.
Bro, if you saw my free-to-play account, I am riding the Reliquary Tender so hard right now. I mean, she is my hard carry. I still use her in a lot of teams. I freaking love Reliquary Tender. And like, Apothecary also god tier, so take your pick. But I mean, there's so many good rares in this faction. This faction like actually has legitimately useful rares like throughout your entire playthrough of the game, especially if you're not a big spender. But I'm actually with you, Ash. If I were picking, I'd actually pick Reliquary. I mean, Apothecary is incredible, but I love her. And the fact that she does all she does is a rare, like that's my jam. That's my jam.
I agree with you 100%. I would say Apothecary is still the GOAT, but what I would do what every smart player, free to play or not, should do. And this is what I did on my mini account is I pulled mystery shards until I got Apothecary. Like I am going to pull every mystery shard I can get and hope for Apothecary. And that's how I got him on both of my accounts, through a mystery shard. So
you're okay, but you I do not like.
Reliquary you can't get from the mysteries. So shout out to Eris. Obviously, she's campaign farmable, which is great, and she's very useful in clan boss and other areas. Increased speed on 3-turn cooldown as well. So I would get her and hold her, and I also love Elhain.
Yes, also phenomenal. Elhain also worth, like there's multiple in here that are worth 6-starring, frankly.
You want to see a buff to?
So I only want to see a buff to this guy because anytime I see him pop out of a shard, he kind of really pisses me off, and that is Magister because he looks like Apothecary. So when he pops out,
the budget Apothecary.
Like when he pops out,
what's up with that?
I'm just like, why are you not Apothecary? You know, like
a woman in the avatar. I was like, is this him?
Yeah, he looks very different, but he's got the same skin. So anytime he pops out, I get really upset. It's not that he doesn't have like some utility. There's definitely some things going on there, like, you know, being able to put a revive on death buff. But realistically, I'd like to see just maybe a little bit more out of his like, you know, get just a smidge more. Heal reduction isn't the most powerful debuff. It'd be nice if it were 100%.
Revive on death on a 4-turn on a single target does not excite me.
So you Magister.
Buff. I agree. Give a budget Apothecary a buff. Cool. I can get on board with that. Let's go to Sacred Order.
Nice. What we got in Sacred Order?
First, man. Quite a few. Hello. Oof. We got actually a couple solid ones in here. Yeah, I got some hate. I have some big time hate in this category here, man.
Yeah, I know you hate in this category for sure.
I actually hate 2 of them a lot, but who you got?
So I mean, to me, like the standout one, of course, she's a starter champion. I mean, Aethel.
I love that you said that too, because I thought you were going to get cute and go somewhere else, but I think Aethel's the best.
Yeah, I think Aethel's the best. I think she's worth a 6-star. In fact, in the free-to-play challenge earlier this year, the person who ended up winning the free-to-play challenge on Hell Hades channel 6-starred her almost immediately in order to complete Sacred Order Faction Wars.
Who won?
Really big brain play. So it was Cropchio. Cropchio won. And his strategy was so unique because he took both the Mordecai and then knew he'd pick Aethel as his starter and he'd be able to complete that faction wars faster because of how good she is. Okay. So it was super cool to see. And it really, like, my very first account raid, I picked Aethel as my starter because I didn't know that quote unquote Kale was the best, but it was really cool to see the guy who's a free to play beast pick Aethel as well and immediately 6 stars. So I'm going Aethel. I love Aethel.
I love her too, man. I mean, people know Aethel, but she's really good. I think she's better than Kale in kind of the mid game. She's so much different. I think that's probably a controversial thing to say, but I just love that she has the 3-turn AoE, but with the extra turn, it makes her like the best campaign farmer of the starters. But the triple hitter with the big version of freaking Weekend at 100% on each hit, like that is money right there.
Where is it? Where is it?
The best A1 out of starters by a mile. I agree with you on Aethel, obviously. There's a lot of crappy rares here. It's so sad to see.
Yeah, there are some bad ones.
I would not 6-star any rare champion. That's insane, but I really wouldn't. Any other side of Aethel, you know? A few that I hate most, though, Purgator. I maxed him out. He's really, really bad. Does no damage for an attack-based rare. Castigator is such a dirty champion. A weak heal, and that's all he has.
We talked about that too in a video that's coming out on my channel, which you were the one who taught me about that. I didn't realize.
Video out, guys. We recorded it like a week ago, and Drock has been late on the edits, my man.
Yeah, I totally have.
No, but it is a good video. I talked about how he bum puzzled me. He's a snake. He's a snake. Harrier, man, I just hate everything about Harrier, bro. I know that he can hit for the Hydra head for a lot of damage, Saf, whatever, bro. Like, he made a whole video about how wrong I am, about how he can ignore defense on his passive and hit hard. But who in the world is taking Harrier into their Hydra clan boss team? Not even beginners are gonna put him in god tier gear in the early game. He's trash. I hate the way he looks. I hate his name, especially Harrier, bro. Come on, hate that champion.
Your hatred for Harrier really honestly fuels me.
Have you ever seen Solaris, the movie with George Clooney?
I actually haven't. It's the like space one, right? Isn't it space related?
I kind of like it. I think it's a remake too. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I wish they would buff him too. Come on.
Yeah, buff him as well. Buff them all.
All right, Barbarian time. Unless you have anybody else you want to mention.
Nah, that covers it. You picked the same ones that I would.
Barbarians, man. You can go first. I feel like I'm hogging the mic here.
Oh, you're so generous. Thank you, man. Okay, so I think 6-star in here. I mean, there's the obvious favorite. You got War Maiden, and I can't fault someone for doing it. There are a lot more champions nowadays than from when she started that can do AoE decreased defense. But when you're in the early game and you manage to land one campaign farmable, she really does have the ability to kind of quickly get you going and turn your account around. So definitely War Maiden is on the list for me. And then there's one other one that I really like too.
She can quickly get you going all right there with that art design.
Oh yeah, she gets me going. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. She's probably my favorite rare in the entire game. I dream of her sometimes, but anyway.
He's a pervert.
Sorry, I went there. I took it there. My bad. All right.
I'm glad you did. We were all thinking it.
You were going to talk about Soulbond, right?
Yeah, I was going to talk about Soulbond. Yep, absolutely. So Soulbond would be the other one that, if you're 6-starring one, she absolutely would be in that conversation for sure. Yeah. Just a really solid kit. Does great damage. Sneaky good. You know what I mean? Sneaky good, especially for a rare.
I agree. War Maiden and Soulbond, I think both are a no-brainer 6-star, because if you're not going to use them in the early game, you're going to use them eventually, even in the end game, right? For those secret rooms and stuff. Also Marked, Marked is an old champion that I feel like she's been talked about a ton, but having the AoE decrease accuracy and the block debuffs and the increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, I think this totemic power is really one of the best rare abilities in the game, So just getting the increased defense, the big version, her and Screech are the only rares that have that. And then the block debuffs on top of that. That's really, really solid. Okay. Any other honorables are here? Anybody else catch your eye?
Well, there's one that pops up because of Cursed City rooms, and I've actually used him, and that's Sentinel. I would actually list him as a champion I want buffed a little bit, but his kit is important because of the heal reduction. So there's a Cursed City room that has Tainted Fyro or something like that. Fyro, whatever. I think it's Tainted Fyro. Yep. And it's a pain in the ass to beat. And that heal reduction, I think he's one of the only champions in that entire pool.
Has it?
He's the only one. So I'd love to see him buffed to do more damage, because he actually is a champion you might have to use, but his kit isn't the worst necessarily. So that would be the only other one that pops in my head.
I kind of like Berserker. I mean, I don't love him, but he can deal some damage. He's going to ignore defense on an AoE ×2 on his A3, but it's not out of this world. I wouldn't say he's a no-brainer. I think that Soulbond and War Maiden are the two best. Then Marked. Okay, we've talked enough here. Some people like Ragemonger, though. Some people like this guy. I'm not one of them.
Nah, I'm not. I've never been
a
a
poison, which is kind of cool, you know.
Yeah. It doesn't do it for me. Doesn't do it for me.
All right, Ogren time. I'll go first.
Yeah.
There's an easy best. Bellower's still the man, dude. He's still the man, especially after they added the nature's whatever the heck blessing, you know, the one that upgrades the weak versions of debuffs into the big versions. I mean, there's no champion in the game that was helped out more than Bellower on that specific blessing, because it changes his decreased speed and his decreased attack and his decreased defense all to the big version potentially. Moreover, 3 AoEs can help you as a campaign farmer, as a controlled champion in the stun set, and just a beast, man. He's a beast. He does it all. So I think he's probably still one of the very best rares in the entire game.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely one of the very best rares. And what's crazy is I'll never forget the first time I faced him in arena when I was first starting out, and he just wrecked me with that AoE. I was like, what the hell just happened? I just got wrecked by this dude. So yeah, Bellower far and away the best in the faction. I'm just going to say there's another one here that I kind of sneaky like a little bit, which he's not like, I wouldn't 6-star him.
I got one too. Who's yours?
But so I actually really like Roughstone.
That's not mine. Okay.
I don't know if you've used this guy, but he actually can do pretty solid damage on some of his abilities for a rare. So he's got an ignore 50% of the target's defense and then granting an extra turn potential if it's critical. So it's like, and his A1 is an AoE. So I've actually used him quite a bit on my free to play. I really like this guy. I really like Roughstone. I don't know.
I like it, man. I like it. I'm embarrassed to say I missed him. I missed that he had the AoE with the extra turn and the ignore defense of being that high. Pretty cool. He's super squishy, but pretty cool. I'm definitely going to invest in him and test him out. I like Gear Grinder. I wouldn't say that. I would say Bellower is the only no-brainer 6-star for me in this this faction. Obviously, Ogon Jailer can like do some nice damage too for you, but Gear Grinder, I did max out at 6 stars. The cool thing about him is he revives, probably one of the better revives out there, maybe the second best out of every rare with a 50% HP and 50% turn meter. He's got a heal, and he's got a little continuous heal on himself on the A1. That's it. Very simple. But a reviver and healer, I mean, that's hard to find. And he's got it, and you can put him in a bolster or shield set because he has a decent amount of HP too. So I feel like a lot of players could use him at level 50. He's fairly easy to build, maybe 60 even.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great choice for sure. Like that revives are so important for faction wars. It's such a clutch ability. So yeah, definitely.
You know what I want to see buffed, man? For the same reason as Magistar, this guy right here, Siege Breaker.
Oh, okay.
I want to see the budget skull crusher. I want to see the budget skull crusher. Come on, man. His red little brother. Give him something, right?
Yeah, he does need it. He definitely needs it.
Yeah, okay.
He has nothing.
Lizardmen time.
He has nothing. Incredible.
Yeah.
Who do I got? And oh man, I think there's actually some really solid ones in here.
Okay.
That are helpful.
Yeah, there are some helpful ones for sure.
Yeah, some really helpful ones. So for 6-starring, I don't know if you'd necessarily need to 6-star Metal Shaper, because I think about using him specifically for the Scarab boss, and I hate that freaking boss so much. And just getting shield up all the time in that 2-turn cooldown is really big.
Sorry.
Like, do you need to 6-star him for that? Not necessarily, as long as you just have the speed. So I don't think he's necessary for 6-starring. 6-star, I don't know. I don't know if you'd really 6-star any of these guys. There are definitely some that you can use in certain things, like Metal Shaper for Scarab Boss, and then Muckstalker or Sand Devils, but are they necessary to 6-star? Maybe not, maybe not.
I agree with you 100%, man. I think that like you could start with a bonus uncommon in Saurus, who's got AoEs. He could be a good campaign farmer, but you could probably use him at level 52, right? Haruspex is a decent reviver and a turn meter booster, but it's hard to recommend taking him to 6 stars nowadays, This guy I haven't messed around with, T-Rex here, or Terexi, or whatever the heck his name is, but an AoE provoker at 75%, not bad. Strength and counterattack, and then increase accuracy. Man, no. I'm with you, man. I would at least they're campaign farmable, but I would pick up Muckstalker for sure. And if you're going to rely on Muckstalker to be your go-to sleep champion all the way to the end of Sand Devil, like 100% take him to 6. But a lot of players end up like eventually getting someone else as their sleeper with a little bit more utility. But he can definitely, you can ride him hard. In that case, I would 6-star. Otherwise, I would pass with you, man. Anybody that you really want to see a buff to?
Yeah, so there actually is one that I really want buff because I've used him a little bit and I feel like he's close to being solid, and that's Hurler. Which I don't know if you've used Hurler, but he can actually he can do some decent damage. If you look at his A3, he actually puts the target skills on cooldown. The problem is it's on a 5-turn like cooldown, so it's like tough to use. But for faction wars, he can actually dish out a little bit of damage. I'd love to see him just have some type of maybe an AoE or like his cooldown's a little bit shorter. But yeah, I actually kind of like Hurler a little bit. That A3 I've used in faction wars and it's helped me out a lot.
Okay, cool, man. I have no experience with Hurler. I've used Cagebound before. He's the guy that I would like to see a buff to. He has an AoE decrease attack on a 3-turn cooldown. It's the weak version. He brings in Ally Protect. It's the weak version. I actually like his A3. I like having the weak version of Ally Protect on a 3-turn cooldown on a rare because he's too squishy to have the big version of Ally Protect. He'd die every time, right? But what I would like is he's a void after all. I would like to keep the weak version of Ally Protect, but actually change the decrease attack to the big version. And then I think he'd be like a go-to really solid rare for damage mitigation on your entire team.
And I think that's so viable now because you think about when the game launched and stuff, and like that was a big deal. It's not a big deal anymore. You know what I mean? It's not a big ask, even for a rare. Like it's not a big ask
for a void rare. You know, let's make void rares. You know, halfway usable here. All right.
Yes.
Skinwalker time, man. Who you got here? Ooh, there's not that many still, huh?
Okay, so I got another. I actually got 2 here that I really like. That I'm actually considering 6-starring for faction wars. One more than the other, and that is Talog. I don't know if you've used Meat Carver Talog, but I really, really like this dude. Like, you could argue that you could buff his A2, but he's got a revive and continuous heal with a 30% HP and turn meter, but then he's also got increased defense and continuous heal. Like, I don't know. This dude is for faction wars specifically. I really like his kit.
It's a lot of survivability, a lot of healing.
It is
obviously.
It is, and like look at his stats for a rare.
Yeah,
20k HP with 980 defense for a rare. That's not bad. When his stuff is based on HP, like he's a lot sturdier than people realize. So I like this guy a lot, and he's got a solid passive. He would be one of the ones I would definitely consider 6-starring.
Good call out there. Good call out. My 6-star would be. I think Gnarlhorn is my favorite, the most obvious, right? Like, heck, there's legendaries. I'm looking at you, Chromax Moonblood.
Quit looking at me like that.
There's legendaries that don't have a 3-turn provoke, and he has it. He's a non-void rare champion. It's insane. He can be a great enfeeble tank because of his Ram A1, can't be strong, critical, or weak. He's a great provoker, great for waves. I think he's a top-notch control rare in the game. He's my obvious 6-star. But I have some shout-outs too, man. Like Greybeard and Fleshmonger. I like both of those champions. Fleshmonger, if you're looking for an AoE decreased defense champion, there's not that many, as we've discussed, right? He has it on a 4-turn cooldown, 75%. It's not ideal, but he does have an extra turn ability in his kit, right? That helps out a lot.
I use him all the time. I am into the pig. This was the other guy I was thinking about 6-starring.
Yeah.
Pig me up, baby. Pigs all the time.
Damage too. Yeah. All right. And Greybeard's campaign farmable, good control, good aura, right? So there you go. But Greybeard I would take to 50. I wouldn't max out. I wouldn't. And Fleshmonger I'd probably take to 52 till the end game. So
that's how I feel as well.
Gnarlhorn and Tolog are our recommendations there. What do you think about Lamabur? You have a thing for sheep.
Oh God, Jesus! Here we go.
Is he a sheep? I don't know what the hell this guy is.
He's a sheep. He's a lamb. He's a demon. He's certainly interesting looking. I definitely have a thing for sheep.
I guess he is a lamb. Is a lamb a sheep, bro? I don't
Is a lamb a sheep? Actually,
I asked the embarrassing questions.
I think a lamb
is a lamb a sheep. Hey, sir.
A lamb is a baby sheep?
Is lamb a baby sheep? Yes, a lamb is a baby sheep. Actually, nice heal ability here on the HC.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. He's got some utility there. Like he certainly could use a buff. Like this could be one that you would think about maybe buffed a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'd be a good candidate. I can get behind that because also he's got a speed aura, which is never a bad thing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Orc time.
You want to go first? Who you got?
Oof. Oh man, orcs are very bad across the board, man. There's definitely some outliers, like obviously like seers of the world and warlords of the world, but there's also so many crap champions in this damn orc faction. They get rid of half of them and no one even realize. I guess I'll go, I don't know, man. I wouldn't say any are 6 stars. Any. Galek is my least favorite of the starters. Ironclad is fun, but I would not recommend people like max him out personally. I know some people would disagree with that. And no one else here really gets me super excited. What about you?
So I actually agree with you. I don't think it's worth it for investment. I actually messed around a little bit with veteran just because struggle block buffs champion for Hydra, and I needed it so desperately to do that. So that was the only one. But like this would also be the champion I would buff. Like if they buffed him to at least land that 100% of the time, then I would absolutely take him to 6-star or at least strongly consider it because block buffs is so important for that game mode. But
it's a great buff call out, dude.
Yeah, he really like could use it. Cause again, like one turn is really not that powerful. But getting your hands, like when you pull a Void Shard, you pull this dude, you really want to be able to use him. And Hydra is so specific for needing that specific debuff that it like he's so close there. But he would be the only other one I think about. But I just don't, this is a rough faction, like you said. This is rough.
Yeah. I think veteran was a perfect call out. He would be my buff choice as well. I agree with you, man. He's tanky. His damage is all over the place, scaling off defense, attack, and HP. Come on, man. Like that's a little bit ridiculous, player him. Come on, man. Back in the day, like a lot of people use this guy as a dependable decrease attack. He has a big version on his A1, and I believe this happens on both hits too. This A, or I have a chance on it on both hits. But outside of that, I agree. I would love to see that block buffs. Everything else is great. Just fix the damage multipliers a little bit and add the block buffs to make it at least like an 80% chance, if not 100. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let us know, guys, if you have an orc that you like that we didn't talk about here, because I don't think any are really worth investing in. Demon spawn time.
Ooh, yeah, okay. Demon spawn. Okay.
No-brainers. It's funny, I actually like a lot of these champions here. I think that the no-brainer Fellhound, I don't know, do you use Fellhound to campaign farm? I mean, do you even campaign farm? Let's be real.
So I do. I was campaign farming yesterday because I fell asleep on this stupid Thor fusion on my free-to-play account. And so I had to do like 1,000+ mystery shards. It's been a fun week for me.
Yeah, great.
Like 1,000 mystery shards. I was campaign farming all day to try to get that
still
done.
My guy. Who's your guy? Who's your go-to?
So, hilariously enough, I'm still using Kale from the free-to-play challenge. So he's still built to campaign farm for me, and he's not bad at all. I want to invest in Fellhound, but the one thing that I've learned in doing this free-to-play is it's just so hard to get those chickens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on my account, I've had the most insane luck, Ash. It's been, dude, I've pulled so many Legos on this account on free-to-play. It's nuts, and epics as well. If people think I'm cheating,
go ahead and brag a little bit. Tell us the Legos, man.
Dude, I just pulled an Ancora the other day. I've pulled multiple extra legendaries where I this is the biggest one ever had. They're not even like god tier Legos. Yeah. It's just the rates have been crazy.
Yeah.
Champ
so
for
resources. Who?
Yeah, so that's the problem.
Who'd you say?
But Lord Champ Ford, I pulled him the other day.
Gotcha.
Cool. I got a double pull the other day on a non-2x. On a non-2x, I pulled Lanothril. What's the guy's name?
Lanothril.
Lanothril, yeah.
Sounds like a medicine to me,
Yeah, it does. You're going to sleep real good tonight. I pulled him, and I pulled another. I can't even remember the legendary I pulled at the same time. I'm just like, I'm drowning in Legos, Ash.
Nice, man. So you have no love for Fellhound, basically. You have no love.
But I would go for Fellhound if I were going to 6-star.
You could probably get by with maybe even 5-starring Fellhound, maybe.
Yeah,
because you can put attack percentage on his boots, and he's still like, I think he's, I don't know. Some people tell me that like there's better out there, but his animation is so fast that he's still the best campaign farmer, and he can help you for Fire Knight progression, 2-turn cooldown reflect,
yeah.
But I also love a few others. But who's your favorite? Who's your no-brainer?
So he would be my choice, but I haven't used this guy yet, but I've looked at his kit and I'm like, man, this is an underrated kit. I really like it. Abyssal.
I love Abyssal too.
Abyssal's
I don't want to hog it, but yeah, he's awesome. Yeah,
his kit is real good for a rare. So I would think long and hard, just because this is a tricky faction war crypt, if I remember correctly. Like the final boss.
It is
kind of rough.
You're lacking healers. You're lacking competent healers. I remember I had to use Tanix, gosh, on my damn account.
That's right. Yeah, so, you love Tanix.
So if I had Abyssal back in the day, he'd probably be a lot better, you know? I mean, survivability, increased attack, heals, and block buffs. I mean, heck, we were just looking at a Void rare in Veteran, bro, who had a 50% AoE on his A3, and that was the highlight of his kit on block buffs. We have a 30% AoE on the A1 plus Sniper, and that's not the highlight. Like, great stun set in the end game, great for progress, and I would invest in Abyssal. I wouldn't say like no-brainer 6-star, you know, but a lot of people could use that sort of a kit. Anybody else here that you think is like 6-star worthy of consideration?
I know that people have used like Hellborn, Sprite in clan boss teams, I think in the past. So that'll be the other one to think about, because the buff, I think, isn't she like increased buffs or duration?
Yeah, very good on Wixwell teams for the 3-turn duration. So yeah, niche, but absolutely worth it. Yeah,
so she would be the other one to consider. And then I think Health Freak isn't horrible, but I don't think I'd 6-star him. So.
I think he's bad.
Oh, there you go.
I could be, I mean, hey, I might be wrong, but a chance of stealing all buffs from the target, that's kind of cool. And then swap HP with an enemy with an extra turn. Look at all those books in the A1. Not that it really matters.
Dude,
the big version of decreased defense, which is really nice. You might be right, man. Like not an awful kit, and he's 107 base speed, but I remember I have him and I maxed him just to try to test him out, and I remember being like so underwhelmed, but doesn't read that bad. Petrifia, Rockroot, Petrifia. AoE, decrease attack, and poison, big version with poison sensitivity. I think that she's right there with Frozen Banshee in terms of like one of the better poisoners if you want to go kind of old school poison on clan boss or in dragon. If that's the case, then like you can absolutely make a case to invest in her, but other than that, be a pass. Diabolus, I like at level 50 maybe too. Increased speed, 3-turn cooldown, campaign farmable, you know.
Yeah. It's interesting to see too, like the champions, because Petrify or Petrifia, whatever her name was introduced. She was part of a fusion or a fragment to, I think, a fusion. Yeah, she was part of a fusion, just fusing to someone else. So it's like those champions, as the game went on, they got better. You know what I mean? Like the rares got better for the most part, except for, you know, of course, there's one that is God tier, which we're probably going to discuss up next. But
Marquez, you have any experience with Marquez? You're an arena guy.
I've heard that Marquez is actually pretty nasty, but I've never used her.
Okay, so you set her up with like a Ryan the Conjurer. She brings weaken herself, but it's better to rely on somebody else. Like a Ryan's good because she removes buffs and places the weaken, and then she deals extra damage. Basically, she gets like an extra full hit on enemies with weaken. But she's really, I think she's probably the best like raw arena nuker AoE out of any rare in the game. I don't think it's that close personally, but I mean, who's using rare arena nukers after like a few months or whatever of progression in the game? That's the problem with her, is like, yeah, she's cool, but you're probably going to find better pretty soon.
Yeah.
All right. Undead Horde time, man. You can go first.
Oh, man, there's some really solid ones in here for sure. I mean, the one that sticks out immediately is Frozen Banshee. 6-starring Frozen Banshee, never a bad decision. You can just like, it's a clan boss dominator. She's so good with the poisons as a rare, just an absolute unit. So absolutely, Frozen Banshee is big time on my list. You would have said in the past Corpulent Cadaver, but we all know what happened to our sweet,
we don't talk
large boy. We don't talk about Corpulent.
Corpulent. He's the same. Corpulent and Vogoth, right? They're the exact same.
Yeah, they are.
Oh my god.
Yep.
I know they were close, but like they're literally the exact same.
They're literally the same, just a color change.
All right, barely even a color change. Okay.
Yeah.
And so is Drowned a little bit, kind of. Anyway.
Yeah.
I agree with you there, man, 100% on Frozen Banshee. And I just compared it to Petrifia or whatever. But Frozen Banshee, I think, is better because of the poison on the A1. Like, I think that getting the 2 big poisons off the A1, that still makes her the best poisoner option. Who else, man? Who else is a no-brainer? I guess. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I had a couple. I don't know if I'd say no brainer though. That's the only thing.
I don't think there's a no brainer personally, but my shout outs I guess would be Doomscreech and Banshee. Doomscreech is nice, man. This is really one of the strongest rare abilities in the game. Problem is the rest of the kit, it just doesn't do much at all. But a big juicy 30% turn meter fill like his big brother Seeker, and the increased defense big version, you know, outside of marked, getting that on an ability is really strong, you know, with a lot of HP. What about, and Banshee has 2 AoE, so she's good in a stun set, you know, AoE on the A1, AoE on the A2. What about you? Any shout outs here?
I actually kind of like Seducer. Yeah. Like getting a block. I mean, block debuffs for 2 turns is massive. Like, yes, you don't get the large increased defense. Yes, you don't get the large decreased attack. But unlike some of the other champions you've seen, you get 100% chance of placing some form of decreased attack. So between that and then getting a block debuffs for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown, I don't know. This kid is, you know, this kid's pretty legit for a rare. Like it's not quite all the way there, but it's one I think long and hard about for sure.
I 100% agree with you. I haven't played Seducer enough, honestly. I know he's an old school like void rare, but you're right, man. That 100% decreased attack, he brings a lot to the table. He really does. Yes. When you add it all up, great kit. I would say the worst who I want to see a buff to, for me, it's not even close. Actually, it is close. There's 2 voids who really annoy. There's probably like 10 voids who really annoy me here. All these void rares suck outside of Seducer, don't they, man? Like,
yeah, they are.
And Doomscreech, but Abalaster sucks. Hollow is awful. Yeah. Attack 1 enemy 4 times. That's cool, but that's literally the only exciting thing about the kit. And it's on an A2 and he's 89 base speed. Buff this guy, but I really hate Armentine Skeleton. He's my worst, man. I don't know. I maxed this dude out in a video just for S's and G's, and oh my god, he was more disappointing than I even thought he'd be. He has a chance at a single target block buffs. He has a single target block active skills, and he has a selfish weak version of increased defense on himself with no damage, no multipliers. What are we doing with this guy, man? What are we doing with him?
He's so bad, and I love that you are like the resident expert at having maxed out some absolutely horrific champions on your channel.
I have this series where I max random champions that I pull or whatever, and that's where all these that's where Purgator and all these random rares that I've met, and that's where Hollow came from too, you know?
I've watched it. It makes me laugh every time.
It's definitely interesting. It's interesting. Grinner is a reviver. I will shout that out as well.
Yeah, I like Grinner. I use Grinner.
Yeah, he's an underrated reviver because he's got a 4-turn revive. And look at his base. He has removing random buffs from each target potential. He's an increased attack on all allies on his A1. Granted, small chance, but it is the big version of it, right? And he's got a 110 base speed, man, for a rare champion, for a rare reviver. 110 base speed. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We talked a lot about Undead Horde. Is there anybody who really bothers you here, or are you good?
I'd say the skeleton is just absolute trash. So I'm with you on that.
Armentine, he looks so cool too, man.
He does look sick. He looks sick for a rare.
He looks like he's borderline like almost legendary in terms of
he definitely epic minimum look, if not legendary. But man, he is bad.
It's a shame. I feel bad for that designer on the I made the coolest looking rare in the game, guys. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna give him the crappiest skills. All right, Dark Elf time, man. You want a Sayer? You want to go with a chalk?
Dude, this is like the most stacked freaking rare. I mean, there's so many good rares in this faction. You know who it is. You go ahead, say it.
Listen, just for new players, I forget that there's like new players that tune in every day to the channel. So I hate to just be like, well, you guys know what Coldheart does by. But you guys probably know that Coldheart's the best rare in the game. Still, it's getting the 4-time hitter on the A1. I mean, a good A2, but the Heartseeker being the best enemy max HP ability out of rares by a mile, with all apologies, Steel Bond, Bowyer, or whatever. This is so hard hitting. it's 100% turn meter on top of that with the quad hit just makes her like the most used rare in the end game by a mile. And that's it. Anything to add there on Coldheart?
I mean, like, that's the thing, right? You think about as you progress in the game, and if you're a big spender, you get to the very end. Like, none of these champions, for the most part, some of them do, some of them still factor,
outside of like Centranos or Secret Rooms,
like
you're
super niche things. But she's the difference. She is built different. I would have her babies. I love her.
Oh, a marriage in order. I like this. All right, man. Well, hey, on that note, any other people you have their babies here in this faction?
Yeah, I would have Painkeeper's babies too. I'm telling you right now, Painkeeper is legit.
You don't even know
I want to know what is under that helm. You know what I mean? She looks a lot like Coldheart.
Look like Vagabond.
A vagabond. Or maybe she does, but I can work with everything else. I can work with everything else. But yeah, I mean, like Painkeeper also another champion that you can use throughout the entirety of your time playing Raid Shadow Legends. Her kit is legit. The only thing that holds her back, in my opinion, is she's a reader. She likes to read. Golly goodness, so many books to go into her. But yeah, she's awesome. Like multiple copies too.
But yeah, you're right. A competent healer with that great combat tactics makes her one of the top 2 cooldown reducers out of any rare in the game. Who else, man? Who else?
Hail.
I said Steel Bond Bowyer. My apologies. Steel Bowyer, and you're not 6-star worthy.
Hail. For sure. Yeah.
Sure.
The OG best starter champion. Such a legend. We love Kale.
He's still the no-brainers. I gave Aethel a lot of love earlier, but he's still the no-brainers because Poison's like so valuable in the early game, right? Like, just Dragon's going to be the first dungeon that most people are facing off on, and then Clan Boss. So just going to be such a goat for you, Anybody else that you think is a no-brainer here?
I think those are my choices. Like, there are a couple other decent ones, but those are the ones that I would go with. And either of those 3 is just they're all fantastic.
Yeah, I kind of like Judge, but I don't think he's a no-brainer. I love the AoE ×2 on a 3-turn cooldown, and then every hit he's kind of like a little mini Contra, man. He's placing like any of these debuffs, and they're all the big version on every hit, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So a cool little champion. I think he's worth consideration, but I don't think he's a no-brainer either. If I could buff anybody here, for me, it's a no-brainer on Steel Bowyer. I mentioned her a few times now, but like, listen. She's an AoE enemy max HP rare champion. I think she's the only enemy max HP AoE rare champion in the game. I would love if they went in there and buffed the enemy max HP multipliers here. It's just one of the weakest. It's almost not worth even calling her an enemy max HP if it's based on like a 100th of their max HP, right? Like bump her up to a 10th of their max HP, like a Coldheart,
Yeah, no, she definitely could use some help.
Or maybe even half of that, But like, I don't want her to be as good as like a Royal Guard, but somewhere in between,
Yeah. So I think I would like to see a small buff, maybe to Hex Weaver, because there's a kit here that's potentially interesting with the heal aspect. You know what I mean? Like, healers are always so important. So maybe a small increase here on the A3 where we give her the large increase speed instead of the small one. That would be like, it would really make her worth, I think, potentially 6-starring, because you get the heal, you get more speed. She's still not game breaking or anything like that. So that would be my choice for a buff.
You know what, man? It's like, it would be so cool if Plarium, I know I'm just talking to myself here, just talking to you, but like, it would be so cool if Plarium just went and does a massive like 30 rares, get small buffs just to catch them up with the rest of the game,
Bro, talk about Goodwill.
Right? It's like it's not that hard. Even like Spirit Host farmable rare, who's actually solid at level 40, 50 when you're starting out in the arena as a cleanser. Maybe bring this down to a 5, book down to 4. That way you can use her a bit more outside. Get more utility out of her. Because it's hard to even. I talked about this in a recent video, man. But like, as a free to play or a low spender in this game, it's not like you can just say, "Wow, there's a lot of good rares I could take advantage of." It's like, just like you had that experience with your account where you get legendaries, but like the bar needs to be higher for a rare, not lower, Anyway.
Also, like, the thing, like, you can open hundreds, if not thousands, of mystery shards and come out with very few of these things. Like, it's hard to get some of these rares.
Yeah.
And some of these rares that are actually really important to your progression.
Indeed.
And so Yeah, like I really wish they would do that. It would be such a massive community win, especially for lower spenders, free to play, or people just starting new accounts. Like you love Raid, you start a new account, you're excited about it. I don't know. That's the charm. That's what we all fell in love with. So
I agree,
yeah,
man. I agree. All right, so nice Revenant. Who you got? Who's your no-brainer?
Okay, there's a couple here that are legitimately awesome. I think the one that sticks out to everybody, probably, or the people that have played before, is definitely Coffin Smasher for Clan Boss. Yep. And this is a legitimate Clan Boss champion. You can build a really solid Clan Boss team around Coffin Smasher. So that would be one of the ones that I would absolutely consider, just because of that decreased attack on the A1, which is really important. And then also potentially landing an HP burn. Also really big potential damage for Clan Boss. So I think he's one you definitely consider 6-starring. The other one that I haven't seen used as much, but if you look at his kit, it's pretty freaking nasty, is Torix.
Ah, he's my guy. Yeah,
dude, Torix is a newer rare, but this guy's kit is sneaky good for a rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely worth considering 6-starring because of what you got to AoE provoke, and you give yourself increased defense, and he's defense based, but you do it before you attack. That's not a rare kit. You know what I mean? That sounds like more of an epic kit.
Yeah.
So
he's one of the better rares added. I think a couple of Sylvan Watchers too, which we'll get to in a bit. But he's one of the better rares I think added in a while to the game, right?
For sure.
A pretty high percentage on the provoke, and to your point, increased defense. It's the weak version, but it's still better than no version dramatically, right? So I agree with you there. He also has a pretty cool passive here. He's counterattacking, which leads to more leech placement on the A1, which is nice to have as well. I love Executioner, man. I love this guy.
Yeah.
Have you messed around with Executioner at all?
I actually did on the free-to-play challenge. He surprised me. He was way better than I thought.
I like this guy better than like a Judge who we just talked about, and quite a few others like Berserker. Some of these like AoE damage dealing rares that like are borderline. Execution is my favorite out of all of those. First of all, he's defense based. He's tanky, easy to keep alive. You know, for a rare. I love this A2. Tumult is one of my favorite abilities. It hits really hard. It says it's based off attack and defense. I never bother with attack. I just build them with a lot of defense, and it does nice damage, you know? Yeah. And you have a 20% turn meter decrease, the best out of, I want to say, any rare in the game, I want to say. And then
I think so.
The decreased speed on top of that, man. Like, that's a really, really good controllability. 15%, sure, but it's a 3-turn cooldown. And then counterattacks, which lead to stuns on his A1. I love this guy.
Yeah, he is really, really, really solid. You know, funny enough, he'd actually be one of the champions I'd buff.
You buff him. I mean, I'll take it, man, but I love him. Yeah. But I'll take it
in a really specific way, because you're right. His kit is really good. The one thing I'd want to see change is on his A3. He's placing this increased defense. He's placing this counterattack buff. Just give him an extra turn. Make him actually legitimately nasty. Like, give him an extra turn. Like, make him sick.
I'm not going to argue with you, bro.
Make him sick, baby.
Breath, but
no, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
But it would be awesome if he buffs himself, gets the extra turn, and then goes right into that disgusting A2 and just lays the smackdown. Then he truly is the executioner at that point in time. So that would be how I'd buff him.
I agree with you, man. This guy has, like, I don't know. You know what I would do to this guy? I mean, it's funny because we're giving, I'm going to give him like an epic like buff, right? Maybe a legendary like buff, because they don't really make broken passives like this. But his name is Executioner. I would build in the Soul Reap blessing to him. You know,
that would be so sick. I would actually love just this one random rare. Isn't he campaign farmable too? I think, or something like that. This one random rare.
Yeah, I think so.
He's a fusion for sure. I can't remember how you get him, but that would be the sickest thing ever. And I would actually try to bring him into high level arena just for the lulz. Honestly, like, it's executioner time.
Just make it a passive. Why not? Have a little fun. All right. So is there one that you'd absolutely, yeah, you're right. The stage 11 of campaign. So yeah, man, I love that guy. All right. Anybody who you'd really love to see a buff outside of Executioner?
I mean, I think we got to go with Ashwalker in honor of our boy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we got to go Ashwalker. Like, look, his kit isn't anything super incredible or anything like that, but I think you could certainly make him more useful for a void, in that it's not even, is it 100% chance? It's not even 100% chance to stun one enemy. I think you make that 100%. Like give him a 100% chance to stun, and then on this AOE, I think we can give him a 25% weaken. I think it's okay. I think.
Yeah, I mean, basically they made him after me, man. But yeah, I agree. I agree with the stun. I do. Here's the thing, man. I'm biased because I like this guy, right?
Yeah.
I really like him actually. This Devastator A2 is like so useful. I like the stun. You know, it hits way more often than not, obviously when booked. But decreasing the turn meter of all enemies if the attack is critical, like that's really nice to have as well. So yeah, I'm borderline like already recommending him. We should probably shout Renegade too, right?
I was gonna say Renegade is probably one of the ones we'd have to think about for a 6-star as well. This is a stacked faction.
It is.
They're legitimately awesome champions in this faction for rares.
Okay, I have a Acolyte. He would be my buff. I would take this from a 4 to a 3. We talked about with Reliquary Tender. She has an AoE 3-turn cleanse with the continuous heal, big version. Like, give my man Acolyte. It's the highlight of his damn kit. Give him a 3-turn cleanse. I don't even ask for the continuous heal. You know? He's my buff. Even though
that's
Guardian,
a good one.
It goes back to all the other crappy champions I've been talking about, man. Guardian is another one that I maxed out. He's awful. I hate this guy. So buff him too while you're at it. All right, dwarf time. We'll be here all day talking about buffs and that and some of these factions.
For sure.
Dwarf, man, you're up first. I have some real faves here.
Yeah, I'm looking through this. Okay, so there are definitely some ones I would consider taking a 6-star.
People like a lot of these too, man.
Yeah, so the ones that I've used on my free to play, I think some of my favorites. I really like Kurzad, the Void.
Yes.
Really like this dude. His
Glad
kit
you mentioned
is
him, man. No one gives him the love he deserves.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't get the love, but like increased accuracy on the A3, and then a chance to place decreased defense, 100% chance when booked. On an AoE on a 3-turn. That's pretty legit for a rare. Like this guy deserves to be a Void, and he is one. And then also, I love the A2 because you're cycling back through here. You're AoE hitting, and critical hits fill his turn meter. Again, also on a 3-turn. So I really like Kurzad. He is definitely someone you can consider 6-starring, especially for faction wars for sure.
I think he is a top 10 rare in the game, man. I think it's a no-brainer because he's the only rare also that brings an increased accuracy big version on a 3-turn to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, like, and he has the big version decreased speed on the A1. Like this guy, man, he just doesn't stop. I love this little dwarf. He's squishy. That's the only thing against him, but put him in a stun set. I mean, so much utility you can get out of him. He's my favorite out of every dwarf. Anybody else?
Yeah, there are a couple others. I'd also look at Dilgol if we're sticking on voids. I actually really like Dilgol.
Yeah.
Decreased.
Hunter, right?
Decreased accuracy. You also get decreased defense, triple hitter. I don't, and decreased speed on an A1, always a good thing, even though it's the small version.
Yep.
So I like Dilgol a lot. The other one that I really have come to enjoy is Avir.
Yeah.
Have you used Avir?
I have. Yeah. He's solid, really solid. Yeah.
Avir is pretty darn good, man. Increasing turn meter, healing people, placing decreased attack, placing decreased speed if you get poisons out there. I mean, he's got a really solid kit. So Avir pretty legit.
No, I'm 100%. I love Avir, man. This vitalizing potions. People always discount these abilities. They're really solid. You know, he's not getting the extra turn like a deacon or whatever, but still, it's very useful. And you're right, he brings a lot to the table. You know who I like is Master Butcher as kind of an early game provoker. He's got a 2-turn provoke on a 4-turn cooldown, and he has a provoke on his A1. So you can put this dude in a reflex set, and he can be your main Hydra provoker because it's hard to find provokers for all 3 of your teams. You know, like odds are you probably have one better option than Master Butcher. Maybe you have 2, but to have 3, he can be locked down for Head of Decay. So if you're looking for that skill set, or Magma Dragon for that matter, right? If you're looking for a provoker, he's the best rare, along with Greybeard, different reasons. Anybody else that you have? I would not max her out. I think we've covered all my faves. But Candleguard can smack, man. She looks.
I've actually never used her. She's
very
legit.
Unhappy to have a candle head. You know, very. She depresses me just looking at her. I don't know what it is, but
I don't think I've ever noticed the candles.
She really bums me out. I hate looking at her.
Candles on her head. I've literally never noticed.
She looks so depressed, man. Like candle.
She's in the mines. The dwarves yearn for the mines, Ash. She's yearning for the mines.
I think she burned her hands or something. Like that's why she has the candle guards. I think that's what this is, and they put it on her head. I don't know. She has a strong AoE. Well, first of all, she has a very selfish self-buffing ability. But this ability, Triumph Cry, it can nuke, it can hit. That's it. That's all she has going for her. I would not. I'm talking about a champion that I wouldn't even max out. But you know what? She'll be my buff, man, because she hits. I know the multipliers are there. Let's make this weekend 100% chance. And you know what? Screw it. You went for it. I'm going to go for it. Give her an extra turn.
There we go. Yes.
Extra turn ability.
Look at how sad she is. She needs this.
She needs it. Make her a little bit happier. God, look at her. All right,
I've
man.
never actually looked at her before. It's frankly cracking me up how sad she looks.
It's like you're at a bar at the end of the night and there's this girl next to you and you tap on her shoulder and you're like, hey, can I get your number, sweetie? And she goes, anybody you want to see buffed here?
I can't even think. I'm good with Candle Guard.
People like Bulwark.
Oh, Bulwark. Yeah, Bulwark I've used a little bit.
Extension. Yeah.
Yeah, that could work. You can do that.
Some people like Master Butcher. Do you like Master Butcher? I'm sorry. Madman. My bad.
Okay, so Madman used to be legitimately good, but they nerfed him.
He looks cool for a rare. I mean, weird, but cool.
It is interesting because some of these dwarves, I don't know who did the art on these, but some of these rare dwarves look legitimately like they've got tattoos. They look pretty freaking awesome, actually.
Yeah, man, they really do. Okay. So dwarves are done. There's some good ones in there though. Shadowkin time. Not a lot here, man. They did not want to add any Shadowkin rares.
Yeah, interesting to see so few. There is one that I actually really like that I use all the time, and that's Odachi.
Yep.
Odachi is actually really good, like really solid. Again, like a lot of utility in the kit. When you're using rares, you just want to have a lot of different things going on. Even if they're not the best version of them, that kind of utility is so big. And again, block debuffs. You're also placing increased defense on everybody. That's big. And then his nuke is really not bad. Like he's got an AoE nuke, and it's not the worst thing that I've seen. And he's shielding himself after. So yeah, I like Odachi. I'd think about 6-starring him.
I think he's the best rare as well. I agree with you. You put it perfectly, man. Like this is why I love your insight is because it's just, well, it's so true. Like rares, you do want to see. That's the beauty of Bellower, man. Right? It's like or an Abyssal that we spoke about. It's just like doing a lot of things is inherently very good for a rare champion, right? And he does it. He's got provoke, he's got survivability, he's got damage, and he's got 2 essential buffs, right? On a 3-turn cooldown. And he has the defense in dungeons, 25%. So I totally agree with you there. In terms of, I would not invest in anybody else personally, but I would like to see Fnatic buffed because this little dude looks cool and he's void, right? Like he looks so unique in this game. Like his twitchy little weird something or other, you know? I don't even know, but his kit is so underwhelming though, you know? Transferring 2 debuffs from this champion to the target, nah. Increase attack on allies and removes 1 random debuff from each ally. That's it. That's his whole kit, you know? He's a void. And he's a new rare-ish, you know? Like the last couple years. I would love to see a buff on this guy. Probably just a rework. I don't even know. I mean, there's a million things you could do here, but I don't know. Make Curse Bearer an AoE. How about that?
There you go. Now we're talking.
Yeah, I don't know.
He could definitely use it. I think my buff would be Life Taker.
Okay.
Who she's got
mini Sashi, huh?
Yeah, she's got some utility here. She's got some interesting things. You know what I mean? Triple hitter is never a bad thing, and you're getting decreased turn meter and decreased speed, which is big for Fire Knight. It's just this A3 is really not good. Like just straight up, she's placing a veil on herself for 1 turn, not even 2 turns, and she's placing a reflect damage buff on only herself. I would really like to see this AoE just completely change. Give her another damage ability or give her some better survivability around this. Because she's like that close to being like, you know what? I think I would invest in this. Like, this A2 was worth it, but this A3 really lets her down. So
Huh.
Yeah, it's
Interesting,
better
man.
A3.
I've never really looked at Life Taker. I kind of like her kit, man. I kind of like it.
It's
I don't
really
even
not
mind
bad.
the A3. I don't mind because it's a 3-turn. You know, I don't even mind it as much as you do. But I hear you though. That A2 is really nifty. Maybe that A1, make it a 3-time hitter or something. And just make her a Fire Knight, like heal reduction, decrease speed, turn meter, just gonna carry you. Reflect damage. I mean, clearly she's, or maybe make the reflect an AoE, like keep everything else the same.
That would be
And then
better.
She's a Fire Knight monster, you know?
Yes, then she really has some real utility. But she's definitely like Fire Knight. If you're having problems with Fire Knight, she is a person you could go to for sure.
That's a really good call out. Okay. Finally, we've reached the finish line here in Sylvan Watchers, man. Some of my favorite rares in the game are here, actually, though. Why don't you go first, though? Who's your favorite?
Oh, man, there's some really, really freaking good ones here. But my fave for sure, without a doubt, is Tree Shield Knot. I mean, Tree Shield Knot, baby.
I'm glad they're on the same page here. This guy's
What
an
a
amazing-
rare.
Yeah.
What a
he's
rare. And
great.
again, does so much stuff. Awesome
does.
revive, puts
Triple
shields
hitter.
up, heals you, puts decreased attack. I mean, yeah, it's the small version, but who cares? He does it all. Like, this is a champion you absolutely could confidently 6-star without a shadow of doubt and say, oh, I don't feel bad about it. Like, yeah,
No.
Tree Shield Knot.
It is so... There's not a ton of revivers in the game that even bring as much healing and increased defense. Like, how many revivers in the entire game can heal and bring increased defense and decrease attack, even on a single target? Like, there's not that many.
Yeah.
And he's a rare. How many rares in the game can revive more than one ally on one ability? Only one, Tree Shield, you know?
Yep.
This guy's real. I agree with you 100%. He's my favorite rare support in the game, you know, or reviver at least. Anybody here that you think is also a no-brainer 6-star?
So I don't know. This is tough. I don't know if I'd say no brainer.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
this kid is really good. I really like Flannan. Have you looked at his kit?
Of course I have. I love Flannan.
Yeah, this guy's kit is legitimately pretty awesome. Like, increased accuracy, again, small version, but it's also an ally attack, which is pretty cool. So you're doing multiple things there. Placing decreased speed, again, small version, but it is an AoE, which is really good. And then on his A1, he's got a chance to stun, you know, and I mean, and also decrease turn meter if he lands the speed. So, dude, I don't know. And possible grant extra turn. I think this would be the one I really think about.
Yeah, this guy is. There's a Centranos floor that I maxed for, and man, he's just so good. I mean, we don't need to tell people out there how valuable decreased speed is. It's like it's really freaking good, even the weak version. And again, you can use that blessing on him to try to upgrade it as well. But I just love everything that you said. I agree with, man. He really impressed me. This hammer rhythm just brings everything into, like, it brings everything together into a really great package, right? Extra turn when this champion places a decreased speed on 3 or more enemies. So basically, you open up with that Shatter Knees. Like, this is what I did, at least. In Curse City, I just RNG'd it. Like, on the first wave, if he didn't get the extra turn, I started the run over, and because it doesn't cost energy or whatever. And then when he got the extra turn, I would go right back in with the ally attack. When he's going in with the ally attack, he's joining with his A1. So then you can stun with the A3, you know, like, it's a great kit. I know I'm rambling about him, but I agree with you.
Nah, I did this. The funny thing is, Ash, I did the same thing. I 6-starred him for Centranos as well.
The same floor. It must have been the same floor, man.
Yeah.
He and Longsword Torux, I had a very similar experience where I just needed something to put me over the edge, and they were both great. Man, I actually like 3 other champions here, but I don't think they're no-brainer 6 stars, though. Any guesses?
I'm going to say, this is kind of tricky. I'm going to say, what is his name? Lazaire? I'm going to say Lazaire.
Okay.
I'm going to say
no,
Tierlak?
but is he any good? Yeah. AoE times 2, I forgot. Yeah. You know, I like this guy, too.
Yeah,
Branch
he's
Arm.
not bad when you read his kit.
Yeah, he's not bad.
I'm going to say
People love
Tierlak.
Tierlak.
No?
I don't know. I was high on him coming out. I was like, okay, this is a great first. He was a first rare, right?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Sylvan Watchers. But I don't know. I've kind of soured a little bit. I think he can help you out in Faction Wars. But outside of that, I'm not like, there's maybe a secret room or two, too. I think it's like on the borderline. I like Pathfinder Kate. I think she was one of the OGs, too, of this. A simple kit, but good for waves, right? I put her in a stun set, and she's increasing the cooldown of random skills by 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Very good for a rare, very simple but effective. I like Ingid. Ingid Twist Staff, another new rare in the game. Again, I don't think it's a automatic max, but an AoE on the A2 on a 3-turn cooldown, another AoE on a 3-turn cooldown, so 2 3-turn AoEs. We get an increased accuracy on all allies, and we get a 75% leech on a 3-turn cooldown, and then that goes into turn meter fill because of the leech on the A2. Really solid kit, right?
Yeah, I was not familiar with Ingid's game, and he's got some game,
right?
Yeah,
they've upped the overall quality here, which I love to see in terms of the rares. But yeah, I think maybe my buff might be, I might want that buff too. Actually, maybe Colwyn. I would want to see Colwyn. AoE before attacking, increased defense on all allies. I would just bring this down to a 3-turn cooldown. A lot more viability there on Tribuck, who is another new rare, new-ish. What about you? Any buffs here?
That's not a bad one for sure. Man, who am I buffing here?
Man, this Rehab kind of sucks, huh?
Yeah, Rehab's definitely not. Maybe that might be the play. Maybe Rehab makes sense. Yeah, let's go with Rehab. Definitely, you know, good choice. Good choice. I agree with this. You know,
yeah, a little one-dimensional there, I think. But hey, man, we've reached the finish line. We've done it. We've completed every legendary, every epic, and every rare. Now you guys can reward with a big pat on the back, aka a subscription to BigPoppaDrock's YouTube channel, because this guy has put in over 3 hours for hopefully some entertaining and solid content for you guys. So Drock, I can't thank you enough for doing this series on my channel. And hey, we can link the video that we just did on your channel as well in the pinned comment in the show notes below. Any final words or thoughts or wisdom on your end, man?
Man, you know, it's a crazy thing, Ash, because when I got into Raid, there were a handful of creators that I really looked up to.
Not me,
and
hopefully.
Certainly you. Oh, and it's pretty awesome to get.
Yeah, sorry, Brian. You can't take a damn compliment. I feel like that's where this is going.
You're the first to take the compliment. Let me be sentimental.
All right, I'll shut up.
It's just pretty freaking awesome to have gotten to do this series with you and to do these collabs, which is very generous of you as a large, massive Raid Shadow Legends creator to extend a hand. And I've seen you do it to so many creators, not just me. I've seen you do it to so many different people. And I guess the one thing I would say is it's really awesome to have gotten to know you better, both on screen and off, and to know that the person that you are on screen with the kind of energy you bring is the same exact person that you are off. So maybe a little bit of a sentimental thing to say, but I just want to say, honestly, thank you for letting me come on, for letting me rap with you, for letting me talk about all these different things. It really is a lot of fun. And it's the most fun that I have doing this kind of stuff, no matter what we're talking about. So that's pretty much all I'd say. Just thanks for the opportunity, man.
Thanks, man. That was tough to say. Silent. I hate getting compliments, but honestly, it means a lot, especially coming from you, man. Because I mean, we see it in the comments on these videos, right? I see. First of all, I love collabs, right, man? I love having guests here on the channel, but I just love the energy, man. Obviously, like, clearly we could be like good friends in real life because we can talk about Raid or anything else together. But for me as a creator on the channel, I would have you on every day if I could, man. So I just want to thank you for coming and bringing your positive energy, and I appreciate the kind words.
My pleasure, brother. Anytime, and I mean that.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Again, I invite you to check out Drock's channel. It will be linked in the pinned comment and the show notes below. Thank you for watching all the way till the end. And as always, take care, guys.